Hi, everyone. Good day, good evening, Australia. My name is Tinette Cortez, and I'm here with my co host,
Hi
Francis
everyone.
Capistrano. Hello,
Hey.
Francis. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
Really good. Really good. We had to redo this one because we were having some technical challenges
We're
earlier. So,
doing a bit of a reboot
yeah,
of
we apologize.
our webinar, so this
Yeah,
time around it's going to be better.
yeah. So, I suppose everybody could see us from their mobile phones. Is that right?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So we've had a little bit of challenge. So I suppose what we can do, Francis, is we'll just start from the top. Is that
We'll
okay?
start from the top. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
sure.
So let me just introduce ourselves. We are Consultasia Global Australia. So we're a team of 5 people. It's myself. We've got Yvette and Rose. So Rose and Yvette, you can show yourselves now. And Suhas, who is based in Mumbai in India, and of course, our the big boss. We've got Tinette Cortez. So we're a group. We conduct trainings and seminars, personal development, and also for business training. And over the past few weeks, we've been doing personal development webinars like this one, and we're beginning to transition to a more business focused set of topics. So tonight's topic is very relevant. We've got winning webinars as our feature for tonight. Now, over the past few months, we've been experiencing this whole pandemic, and I think it's pretty relevant now because we're realizing that this form of medium, this form of communication, seems to be the way to go. And whether the pandemic stays or goes sooner or later, it's that way it's going to be for most of us. So um, here's Tinette, who will be starting it off on how to project yourself in in presenting webinars.
All right.
And yeah, so I'll pass it on to you, Tinette.
All right. Thank you, Francis. So, good evening, everybody. Welcome again to our webinar tonight called Winning Webinars. And we've prepared this for you to help you and equip you with the right tools and the right tips that can hopefully help you manage your meetings, your virtual meetings, training, or any form of video calls that you need to make during the pandemic, especially if it relates to your business. A lot of people these days are struggling transitioning from face to face meetings or face to face presentations to webinars because obviously it's a totally different ballgame. During webinars, you're sat in your on your desk with a computer or a cell phone in front of you. You don't have anybody in front of you except your family, of course, if you're working from home. And also, there are certain things there that you cannot do anymore. For example, chit chatting. You know, sometimes when you're having meetings face to face, it's easy to chit chat, right? So, what I'm going to be talking about um, initially would be how to project your best self during a webinar. And it's going to be very easy for you to run a good webinar if you know first how to handle yourself. So let's start off by talking about your image. We have to remember that when we're conducting webinars, we all have to look professional. I know you are at home, but it does not mean that you have to look like you're at home when you're conducting a webinar. You have to look very professional, especially if you're talking to your clients, talking to your team, talking to your boss, or even talking to your suppliers. If you are like us who are conducting training, it's so important that you project a very professional image and that this image actually represents you. You don't have to pretend that you're somebody else, or you don't have to pretend that you are very stiff, although sometimes we have that tendency because we are nervous or we're probably not prepared. And that's why you always have to remind yourself, I need to look myself. I need to be the best version of myself. And it has to be me. It has to be Tinette. It couldn't be someone else, right? Another thing is that your image should be aligned to your organization's image and values. If your organization values professionalism, competence, passion, then you have to present yourself passionately on camera. You can't be stiff there speaking like a robot. Even if you are talking to, let's say, your laptop, right? You're facing your laptop, then it is still very important for you to speak as if you are in front of a person or a group of people. Okay? Also, it's very important to remember that your way of conducting your webinar should be appropriate to your target audience. If you are speaking to a group of businessmen, then of course you have to carry yourself in a business-like manner. If you're speaking to a group of students, let's say you're a teacher or you're a professor and you're speaking to a group of teenagers, then you have to be a little bit more active and less stiff or not too business-like. Otherwise, they're going to get intimidated. Okay, so these are just some important tips. We can speak more about these kinds of things in our future webinars because, again, as Francis mentioned, we are launching our business series for Consult Asia. We'll be discussing personality development, sales training, business writing, and all these topics that can help you make your webinars very, very successful. Now, it's also important to remember that when you are conducting a webinar, you are not just there delivering a message. You are also presenting an image. So it's important to remember that they see you, they see your face, they see your outfit, they see your background. That's why grooming is very important. Now, let's go to ladies first, okay? Ladies, sometimes we have long hair. Like I have long hair, relatively long hair. And if I don't tie my hair back like this, it's gonna fall on my face and I'm going to be constantly doing this to my hair, right? So when I speak of grooming, I'm not talking about looking like a celebrity. All I'm saying is prepare yourself in terms of grooming where you do not get distracted by your hair or by some dangling earrings that are trying to make some unnecessary noise in the background, or you're wearing something plunging where you keep covering your chest. So grooming is very important. You have to wear something comfortable. Your hair should be pulled back either in a half ponytail or in a ponytail. Or if that's not possible, and at least wear a clip or a hairpin so that your face does not distract, or your hair does not distract or cover your face. Okay? It's very, very important. Now, if you're wearing eyeglasses, the tendency is because most presenters on cam would use a ring light or any sort of lighting that will make their face look brighter on camera. If you are wearing eyeglasses, please do not put your ring light or your lamp right in front of your face. It has to be positioned at least 45 degrees away from your face. So if you are facing like this, then your light should be either here or here. And that is enough to make your face look bright without causing the reflection on your eyeglasses. Okay? Because I have attended so many meetings, so many virtual meetings or webinars where the speaker, you can't really see their eyes anymore because the light is just, flashing back through his eyeglasses or her eyeglasses. Now, when it comes to makeup for women, it's very important to wear something very, very modest. Okay, we're not trying to look like a heavily made up presenter here. We just want to look like we are really professionally conducting a meeting or a webinar. Now, a lot of women are not very comfortable wearing red lipstick. All right, but what we always teach our clients and our audience, it's okay to wear red lipstick during a webinar because when you're speaking, the focus is actually on your lips, right? And then to your eyes. So you have to make sure that the lips and the eyes are properly made up without being too overpowering or overbearing. Okay, now why is that so? Red is the color of power, okay, strength. So if you're conducting a webinar like that and you're wearing red lipstick, there's a psychological effect there that you are actually appearing more confident and more comfortable with your topic. So that actually adds up to the whole image, okay? Now, what else do they see, which is very, very important? Of course, it's body language. Remember, guys, in delivering a message, only 7% accounts for your words, all right? 38% accounts for the tone of your voice, and 55% is body language. So even if your content is very, very good, and even if you speak so well, but your body language is not supporting the message, then 55% goes to the bin. Now, what does this mean? For example, your facial expression. If you are saying something, if you're delivering something, it's good to speak as it's good to deliver it as if you're speaking to a person in front of you, instead of just sitting there, poker face, looking at the PowerPoint and start reading it, right? It's really not very engaging. People are going to get bored and they don't feel connected to you. So facial expression is very important. If you're sharing something exciting, look excited. If you're sharing something very serious, then you can go a little bit serious, but not necessarily sad. Because when you are sad, it affects the whole energy of the webinar. Now, what do I mean by sad? If you're serious, let's say right now, we are teaching you something about webinars, winning webinars. I can be serious about my material, but I don't have to look sad. Because if I'm sad, I'd look like this. Welcome to our webinars. Okay, so again, you don't want to look sad because then it's going to make your audience sad. Now, eye contact, the tendency is when we're presenting, we look at the screen. We are reading our presentation. If you look at the screen and read the presentation, this is going to be the effect. I'm actually looking down, right? So then, or if you're talking to the people in front of you, you're looking down. So then that does not create some sort of an eye contact experience with this presenter. So what is the tip? You can look at your PowerPoint briefly, okay, and then go back to the camera. So it looks like something like this. If I'm going to read what's on the screen right now, it's going to be like, so what do they see? Body language, facial expression, eye contact, posture, and hand gestures. So I'm just glancing. So guys, if you are presenting, whether as a trainer, as a consultant, as a salesperson, as a manager or a leader of a team, please practice that because you need to connect with your audience through eye contact, okay? Posture. Posture is another issue because we have the tendency to slouch as we age, right? So we're sitting like this, shoulders drooping. And when your shoulders are drooping, your voice tends to get affected. You don't speak in a very energetic voice. You tend to be in a very, very sad voice. Listen to how it shifts, right? So if I'm going to say, good evening, everybody. My name is Tinette Cortez. But if I slouch, I'm going to sound something like, good evening, everybody. My name is Tinette Cortez. Welcome to our winning webinars session, right? Didn't that just affect my voice? Because the body supports the voice. And that's why you have to pull that back. Can you please do that with me? Some of you are probably having their dinners. Some of you are probably driving. I don't know. But just please try to pull back your shoulders. And then it uplifts your spirit and your mood. Very, very important. Okay. Plus, it does not look nice. It does not look nice on camera if you are slouching like this, especially if you are presenting from a position of authority. Okay. If you're a teacher, let's say a high school teacher, and you're like me, mid 40s. Ooh, I had to expose my age. Okay, but let's say you're in your mid 40s and you're a teacher and you're teaching high school students and you are slouching like that. Can you imagine what the students would feel? Oh, my teacher is so boring, right? And then they're not going to listen to you. Or let's say you're a manager or a team leader of a group of, professionals. Let's say you're a sales manager, right? And you are trying to motivate your team. And then here you are slouching like this, not establishing eye contact, reading some piece of paper on the side. Okay, so guys, our forecast for this is terrible. Okay, so again, remember this is your frame, right? This whole thing. Everything in that frame has to be done perfectly in terms of image, body language, posture, and even the hand gestures. You know, again, if this is your frame, stop using hand gestures that stretch out like that. Oh, yesterday, you can just limit it to this. So you can just say, and boom. I mean, and boom. So it's still within the frame. Okay, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay. Also, drinking, for instance, there are different questions that have been asked, right? Is this ethical, or is it proper for a presenter in a webinar to drink? Of course. Well, first of all, I'd like to qualify that we can only drink water, okay, juice, tea, coffee, or soda. In other words, non-alcoholic drinks. You are not going to be very, very polite to your audience if you are drinking wine or beer or tequila during a webinar like this. So there are some tips that we need to remember when drinking. Okay, so I have a glass of water here, and it's very important not to drink like this. Why? Because it's right straight on your face, right? So if I'm using my left hand, I need to move my body a little bit to the left, where my left hand is, well, where my glass is placed, and then, or my glass is being held, and then I can sip. Okay, that's actually just an excuse. Please do not do this using your left hand and then facing the right, because look how awkward that is. Your arm is just blocking the camera. So again, yes, you may drink, but then again, if you're presenting, please try to wait for a chance for you to at least finish the topic. And then maybe if you're opening the session to questions, then maybe while people are asking questions, you can briefly take a sip. But right in the middle of the presentation, it might not be a good idea. So at least finish a certain topic, then you can take a quick sip. What about eating? Another question is, Tinette, is this a good thing, or is this an acceptable thing? 101% no. We may not eat during a webinar, whether it's chewing gum, whether it's candies, biscuits, where's food, like a meal, a full meal, right? Please, if your audience, if anyone in the audience is eating, again, it might be good, especially if you're conducting a meeting with your team at work. It might be good to put it as a guideline that, please guys, no eating during the webinar, because then it violates the whole professional atmosphere of the meeting. Okay, so just as a reminder, even if you're working from home, it does not mean that you have to look like you're in your pajamas. Okay, very, very important. So again, some of the reminders, image enhancement during webinars. How do people see you, right? Do they see you as a lazy presenter? Are we slouching like this? Are we in our bedroom when we're conducting our meetings? Do they see the headboard? Do they see our cabinets? Or do they see the kitchen? Do they see the washing machine? Definitely big no. If you are conducting a webinar, there are no excuses. You can only stay in your living room or in your home study or any corner. If your house is very small, that's fine. You can just find a corner and a blank white wall. That's absolutely fine. But please do not expose your refrigerator, your unwashed dishes, or even if they're washed, right? Not professional. Then what do people remember about you? Do they remember somebody who is very engaging, or do they remember somebody who is quite boring, right? So again, you have to remember your way of conducting your webinar affects what people remember about you. What do people hear from you? Do they hear things that have already been taught before? Do they hear things that are not even relevant to the times, right? If we're just Googling stuff and we're not putting our own insights or our own, additional ideas, then it might not be very, very good or relevant to them. In fact, I would recommend that you can even add more stories to your presentations. Like you can share your own experience. Now, another thing would be, how do people feel when they connect with you? Do they feel like they're connected or really disconnected? Do they feel powerful? Are you empowering them or are you intimidating them? So again, that also speaks about your grooming and your the way you're presenting yourself. So again, if you're talking to, let's say, a group of women, right? If that's your audience, then you have to be a little bit more, well, let's say even if you're a man and you're speaking to a group of women, you don't have to be too stiff. You can still be very engaging, but you also have to, again, present yourself very professionally. Okay. And then, of course, what do people learn from you? Are there key takeaways after your talk? Or are you just rambling around, making a lot of ad libs, right? So, again, these are the things that we need to ask ourselves. And lastly, why do people love and follow you? So, again, whether you're an influencer, whether you're a manager or a team leader or a business owner, whether you're a teacher, a salesperson, it does not matter. You would want your audience to love you and follow you and at least feel that they've gained something insightful from you. So these are just some of the tips in terms of your image in a webinar. So with that, thank you very much. And if you have questions, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to type them in the comment section and we will all read them after everybody has finished presenting. So thank you very much. I'll be back with you in a while. I'll hand over the floor to Francis. Francis?
Thank you very much, Tinette. That was a great presentation, how to present your best self at a webinar. So that was the first step. Now that you know how to present yourself, it's time to figure out what a webinar actually is and what the point of a webinar is. So what is the purpose? What are the goals of having a webinar? So with that, we've got Suhas, who will be talking about webinar concept and content. So Suhas, whenever you're ready, please take over.
Hello guys, good evening everyone. It's nice to be with you again. Hope everybody is at home enjoying themselves, taking care of themselves. Today is a very important topic that we're discussing. And since Tinette has mentioned how to present yourself during a webinar, I would be talking about what is the concept and what is the content in a webinar, which makes the most important part of it, because you need to understand why we do that, what are the contents and how do we need to present them. So let's start by discussing what is a webinar. Webinar is a kind of seminar that you conduct online. You don't need to be physically present anywhere. You don't need to commute anywhere. You just need to be stationed at any place at any point of time and you can interact with the people. You can just be at the comfort of your home at any place and just conduct it and just listen to it. It's at the same time, it's very flexible because people can watch it on mobile, tablet, PC, and you don't need anything else to be in part of such a webinar or to conduct it or to be a part of it. It's multi-purpose at the same time because many companies can do their HR training, sales and ops trainings from the head office to the people who are sitting in their premises quite far away, not geographically present near to the office. They can use it, they can record and download it, they can share it with the people, and that's the way it goes. In a way, you can say that it's a very effective cost-cutting tool for the organization because it helps a lot in training people when they're far away and you save in the commuting cost. This is the basic of what a webinar is. Now we'll be talking about how you do a conduct and how important it is for the business. And when we talk about the business, it's a very powerful marketing and the sales tool because people can use it for pitching their content to the audience. And that's the way companies market these days. And it's at the same time, it's a free content. You can build strategies. It's very interactive with the people, though people are quite far away from each other, but they can do a lot of interactions. They can do question and answers. It can be answered. It can be interactive interviews when the people are hired in the company. You can take the customers on board. You can hold a virtual meeting, and it facilitates the company operations in a very fantastic way. For the business, I would say this is the best tool which is being used in the current times, and the world is everybody in the world right now is working from home. So I think this is the best strategy, and this is a very nice tool of taking and engaging in your business and going ahead with your clients and the trainings. Now, when we have spoken about what a webinar is and how you do webinar for the business, we'll talk about like what are the FAQs, like how do you conduct it. Let's go to the next slide, which is like the FAQs, which is very important. So when you do a webinar, it's typically 45 to 60 minutes long. You present on a specific topic. There are question and answers to the audience. You do sales pitch at the end. You involve yourself in the discussions of the business, and there are many platforms that you can use while conducting a webinar. There are like free or paid platforms like Jam, Ninja, Demio, etc. And you can use whatever it suits to the company and to the people who are joining and being a part of it. But the most important and the basic things that you need to have when you conduct a webinar is camera, microphone, and internet connection. For me, it's more in internet connection, because unless if you have a very shaky internet connection, the whole purpose is jeopardized. So it's not a healthy thing. So all these three things are the basics of conducting and being a part of webinar. You can join a webinar, you can download the application, you can register, you can dial. It's very easy, like how you dial to somebody else. And after the follow-up, after the webinar, you can do a follow-up, you can send the link, you can replay the link. I mean, it's very powerful and flexible tool to conduct your operations day in and day out for the companies. Now, once we have discussed the FAQs, we need to understand like what is the content, like how do you present it, because that becomes a very important part of it. So we'll go to the next slide, which is like slide design trends, which is most important part, how you present your sales pitch to the company. It's like many companies have different ways and styles of presenting their content. It depends on what suits the companies and depends on what content you're pitching to the people. Like some people like to have it very minimal. It's very simple, sober, non-distracting, focused, crisp, clear, and up to the point. Now, many people use vintage styles. I've seen many companies and organizations which are more than 50 and 100 years old. They have a very retro style, classic feel. It's a great contrast to the modern, and they don't have a noisy feel. They just want to project that the company has evolved since ages, and it took such a long time and coming to the modern part of it. And some people like it dark backgrounds. It depends on how long the webinar is and how long and how deep the content is. But some people, on the other hand, like it colorful. They like to keep it fun and creativity that will inspire the audience. Like in the cases of lifestyle products, in the cases of, you would say, a sunglass company, an optical retail, they would like to keep it very fun and creativity, because people like to get inspired. They like to see the fun part of being involved in the business. Many people have colorful charts. Now, I have seen these kind of slides for the companies who are very centralized on having the data. If for a company the data matters a lot, they will keep it very clean, clear, concise with a plain background, and they will give a data in the form of graphs and charts just to show the evolution of the company from years and where is it now and where it would like to go in the future. So these are like the basic contents and the basic concept of how you conduct a webinar. Now you need to understand what is the how do you market your webinar. But for that, I would give it to Ms. Rose Greenrod. And Francis, you can take it over from here. But guys, since you're watching us online, you can always post your queries here on the Facebook, and I'm happy to answer them all. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Suha. So at the moment, we've learned from Tinette on how to present your best self and also what webinars are all about. So at this point, we've got the product down, but how do we actually market or get that message out that we have a webinar, that there's something to watch? So we've got Rose to talk about how to market your webinar. So Rose.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I am Rose Greenrod. I'm here to talk to you about how to market your webinar. And the first topic that I'm going to talk about is the Facebook advertising. With Facebook advertising, you don't have to be an expert to start advertising on Facebook. Create and run campaigns using simple self-service tools and track their performance with easy-to-use reports. Actually, more than 2 billion people use Facebook every month. So no matter what kind of audience you want to reach, you'll find them on Facebook. With regards to targeting, you can show your ads to specific types of people. Facebook advertising, you can use your business managers on Facebook business page. And with Facebook targeting options, you can choose the location you want to reach, either cities, communities, and countries. With regards to age and gender, it's that's the demographics. You can choose what age you want to target, and if you want just female with your target market, you can choose that. And also you can choose what job title they have, and their household income, occupation, and their education. With regards to language, if your target market is Chinese, you can use Mandarin language. And if you want to choose only English speaking people, you can also do that. And with regards to the interest, you can add interests and hobbies of the people you want your ads to reach, make your targeted ads more relevant. And with regards to their behavior, you can target your ads as uh, prior purchases and device usage with their certain hobbies. Of if they like sport, you can do that. And with their connections, you can choose to include people who are connected to your Facebook page or event. And next slide, please. And with regards to ad scheduling and budgeting controls, with the schedule and budget of your ads allow you to choose where your ads appear online and in what format. If your budget only is like $10 per day, you can do that. And the more, of course, the more budget you have, you can achieve your marketing, the number of people who can attend your webinar. And with regards to ads tracking and performance metrics, allow you to track data on how your ads are performing in real time. If your ads are, of course, underperforming or not doing really well, you can turn them off. And if a particular ad is performing really well, of course, you can increase its budget to reach more people into your webinar. Next slide, please. And of course, if your ads is not contributing to your business, for website conversion, you can use the Facebook Pixel to see how many of these book appointments in your webinar were made. You can check that with your advertisement, or you can check how many people who sign up in your webinar. That's the good thing about the Facebook, is you can check also lots of insights about it. Next slide, please. Of course, how do you start? Of course, for sure, lots of people nowadays have Facebook business page. And of course, you need to create also a community of people who wants to join you. If you have a webinar with different topics, you can do that. VIP group or training group. And of course, you need to be consistent in posting in your Facebook business page. You can also do live, inviting people. If you have plenty of likes in your Facebook, you can always do live and ask them to join you and follow you. You need to engage with them and invite them to join you in your webinars. If it's like free, you can keep on asking them. And of course, if it's paid webinar, you can always do that with your just Facebook business page. Just keep on inviting people to follow you. And next slide, please. The second platform that I'm going to do with regards to marketing is the Google advertising. With the Google advertising nowadays, it's really very easy as long as you know your target market with your business, and you need to have a keywords. Google keywords is the best key with using Google advertising. And with the Google Ads, you can display your ad to potential leads or customers who are interested in your product or service. And you can get in front of customers when they are searching for businesses like you. And you should know the top 10 keywords in order for you to reach your target market. And the advertisers bid on search terms or keywords, and the winners of that bid are placed on the top of search result page. You can Google what are the best keywords in order for you to get to attract people to go to your website and sign up in your webinar. Or of course, on YouTube videos or on relevant websites, depending on the type of ad campaign selected. Um, I think that's all my slides now. Thank you so much. The last one, sorry. How to set up your Google Ads. Once you visit the Google Ads site and click Start Now, you'll be taken through a series of steps by step your ads up and running. If you have your ad copy and or images created, setup should take you more than 10 minutes. That's a good thing with Google Ads. It's very easy to do. Even though you're not a technical savvy, you can easily do that, or you don't have a background in doing the Google advertising. They have a step-by-step on how to do it, and it's very easy to do. Yeah, that's for now. Thank you so much for helping me present this.
Thank you very much, Rose, for that. So we're getting closer and closer to being able to put up our own webinars. So we've got how to present your best self. We now know what webinars are all about and what you should include in the webinar, what its purpose is. We now learned from Rose how to actually market your webinar, how to send out the word that you've got one coming up. By the way, to those who have questions, feel free to type it in our comments section. And to those who have asked a question, we will get to that shortly. So with all that, what do you actually need? What hardware, what software do you need to actually run your webinar? So that's what Yvette will be talking about next. So Yvette, the floor is yours.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Francis. I'm here to talk about the technicals of doing a webinar. So the first step is obviously to set up your laptop, your desktop, or your tablet. You need to install or download and update your software or application. You also need to check your internet connection. Also check the battery and power supply of your gadget, as well as testing your AV, your mic, your speaker, your headphones, and your video. Just a reminder, guys, you need to do all this a couple of days prior to your webinar, just to check that everything is okay on the day. Our next topic is the working environment. The important thing is you need to find a quiet spot where you can be alone and won't be disturbed. So ideally, it should be in a closed room without other people around you. You need to set up your meeting workspace, a simple chair and table. Check your background. It needs to be plain and simple. And just like what Tinette said, ideally, it should be in a study area or a little corner in your room, and not in a public area or your family room where other people are around all the time. Also check your lighting, and majority should be coming in front of you. In the slide down there, you'll see a couple of setup on how to do it properly. So next step is obviously to download Zoom, either in the Apple Play Store or on Google Play. And then obviously, once you've downloaded the app, you can launch a program by either joining a meeting or signing in. Now to sign in, as you can see in there, you can use your Zoom, your Google or Facebook account, and you can log in using your username and password, or you can also sign up for free. So that's a sample of a Zoom homepage, just a simple layout once you've logged in. After signing in, as you've seen earlier, you will see the home tab where you can have all the different options: new meeting, join a meeting, schedule a meeting, and share a screen. You can also see the date and time with the background image, which you can change by hovering in the camera icon. You will also see down below any upcoming meetings you have or that you will be having. Now, another tab that you can see is the chat tab, where you can see the tab area, which is like Messenger, where you can chat with all the different people that you're having a meeting with. When you select the meetings tab and click upcoming, that is by doing that, you will be able to view, start, and edit and delete scheduled meetings. So as you can see on the left-hand side, Lee Sheng Shun has got different meetings, and she's decided to click on the meeting ID on top. Once you have started or joined your meeting, you can access the meeting controls located at the bottom of the meeting window. You can hover your mouse and zoom. So if you look down below at the image, there's a couple of icons below, and that's actually how you can navigate your meeting. Now let's talk about the different host and co-host controls. So the host is usually the one who has the sign-in ID or has sent you the invite. The host controls allows you to host the different aspects of the Zoom meeting, such as managing the participants, starting and stopping the recording, and assigning a co-host. It's a must to assign a co-host for backup purposes, and so that you can also assign the different functions of a host. There is no limit on the amount of co-hosts that you can have. Now, the co-host has similar functions as the host. It allows the host allows the co-host to share hosting privileges with another person to manage the administrative side of the meeting. Now, the different host controls, which you can see at the bottom of the screen, is starting a meeting, starting closed captioning and assigning someone to do this, starting live streaming and ending meeting for all the participants, which is usually the three dots on the bottom right-hand side, making another participant a co-host, starting breakout rooms or moving participants from one breakout room to another, starting waiting rooms. You will see that now as on the top on your top screen. So mainly the host controls that you are seeing at the moment, just to take note, is for an upgrade version of a Zoom subscription. So usually when you sign in for free, you wouldn't be able to see all the functions, but this is for an upgraded version. So again, you've got the different functions of muting or unmuting yourself or your co-host, starting or stopping a video. You've got the security tab too. You've got the managing the participants tab and also inviting others to join the meeting. You've got the polling tab, the chat tab, the sharing screen tab, and the other various tabs that you can see below, such as recording, cloud caption support, and reactions. Now, we're going to talk about attendee controls, which is usually every other person that's not a host or a co-host of the Zoom webinar. So now you're an attendee when you join a Zoom meeting, just like what I said, hosted by another. Your controls appear at the bottom of your screen, which is currently what you see on the center of the slide. So you've got participants, chat, share screen, record, reactions. But the most important thing is obviously you need to have the Zoom desktop for your Mac, your PC, or your Linux. Also, you need to download the mobile app as well for your iPhone or your Android mobile. Now, the attendee controls is pretty much the same as what you'll see on some of the host controls. So you can also mute or unmute yourself, your microphone. You can also start and stop the video. And at the same time, you can also see the participants. And you can also invite other people as well. At the same time, too, there's a great function in here wherein you can rename yourself as another person. You can also share your screen if you have a presentation or if the host allows this. So you have to make sure that the host function actually allows you or the participants to share a screen. You can also leave the meeting while it continues for the other participants, but it's only the host that can end the meeting. I think that's the last slide for me, Francis, but thank you everyone for watching, and I'll turn on to Tinette. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you again later.
Thank you very much, Yvette, and everybody. That was a great presentation. So, how do we get a webinar going? So, from the way you present yourself to what the purpose of this webinars are, and how to market, and what your technical needs are, I think you're all ready to start your own webinars and start broadcasting out there. Now, we do have questions from. We do have a question. And I'll read it out to you, and I'll address this to Rose. Rose, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
Right.
Rose, we've got a question from Sarah Jane. Sarah Jane asks, how long should you market and promote your webinar? Is 3 weeks too short?
In my own experience, how far in advance should you promote? For me, it's advisable at least 3 to 4 weeks. I recommend launching in 3 to 4 weeks in order for you to prepare and to increase the promotion frequency of your webinar. And as you go closer to the target date, you will see a flow of registration starting 3 to 4 weeks before the webinar. So yeah, I believe it should be 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah.
So it seems like 3 weeks is a good amount of time to prepare and market. What about, I think this goes out to Tinette. Tinette, what are some important etiquettes for presenters? This you tackled at the beginning of the presentation. So I guess it's just a little recap of what etiquette should be for somebody conducting.
Right. I
webinar.
actually see that the question is coming from Tim Millward Brooks from London. So hello, Tim. We've got viewers from London, from the Philippines, Singapore, and Australia. So thank you everyone for watching. So Tim, I guess Francis, let me just finish the last couple of slides because we have a couple of more slides that might be able to address the question of Tim. So at this point, we'd like to speak about moderating and facilitating tips. So whether you're a host, a presenter, or somebody who is just moderating, your meeting, there are certain things that we need to remember. So for example, as a presenter, it's very important to test the software before the session, because as you all know, it's always the technical aspect that's very challenging for all of us. And it's very important also for us to be on time, especially if you are the one organizing the webinar. As much as possible, we should speak slower than usual, because when we're facing our audience, sometimes it's easier to understand what we're saying. But in a webinar like this one, we tend to still practice or speak the way we are speaking when we're face-to-face with somebody. So my advice is just speak a little slower so that people are able to catch up on what you're saying. As much as possible, our slides should be simple, and the more images you have, the better. But as much as possible, let's just use bullet points instead of putting paragraphs and paragraphs on the slide. My advice would be approximately about 5 to 7 lines per slide, so that it's not too text heavy, it's not too heavy for the eyes, especially when people are watching you from their mobile phones. Graphics should support what you're saying. Remember, your listeners and your viewers are actually able to grasp information when they see things. Some of them also are able to retain information when they hear things. So we should be able to cover both kinds of listeners or audience. We don't want people to be dozing off when we're just talking there, and no visuals. Or if it's all visuals, but then we're not really explaining it very well. So I guess a good balance between visuals and the content of what you're saying would be the best combination. And as much as possible, if you're moderating, if you're presenting and you have an audience within that Zoom meeting, or whether it's Microsoft, whatever platform you're using, it's very important to repeat the questions of the listeners or your audience, because sometimes when they ask a question, whether they're typing it on the chat box, or even if they're actually sharing the question when they unmute themselves, sometimes the other listeners do not get the question. So as a presenter, it's very important that we we repeat the question so that everybody is aware of what's being asked. Okay. When to mute, of course, when you're not speaking, when you're not presenting, if you're part of the audience, if you're not, if it's not your turn yet, it's very important for you to mute, because you might be doing something in the background and it can be very distracting for the other presenter and the audience. Also, we have to be aware of the background noise. If there are people in the house who are washing the dishes, or maybe some kids are crying, if you have young kids, as much as possible, let's try to put them in the bedroom, make them stay in the bedroom for a while, and have the older sibling or your spouse, or maybe another, I don't know, a nanny or a friend to look after the kids, because it's very, very difficult to focus on your material and your presentation if your kids are actually all over the place. And it's also not fair for you not to give them attention. Of course, we want to give our kids 100% attention, right? So during a webinar, make sure that the background noise is manageable, that it's not going to affect the quality of your presentation. There are a lot of things that you could use, like headsets or a condenser microphone. Anything that would work for you to minimize background noise would be perfect. Also, the use of your voice, the tone, the speed, the pitch, and the volume. Again, it's very difficult these days to be seated for such a long time listening to somebody conduct a webinar if it's very monotonous. So as much as possible, make the tone quite interesting. If you are happy, make your voice sound happy. The speed should not be too fast, as I mentioned. And one of the secrets that I practice personally when I conduct my webinars is I try to pronounce each word so that I don't speak fast. Because usually when I'm doing my training face-to-face, I tend to speak very fast, but at least people are able to catch up because I'm not that far from them. So here in a webinar, it's very important that we pronounce each and every word so that people would not miss what we are trying to say. Pitch. Men do not have this problem, but a lot of women do, because our voices tend to be high pitched. So for example, this is not actually my real voice, okay? My real voice is very squeaky, and let me demonstrate that to you right now. So here's my real voice. Hi everyone, how are you? My name is Tonette Cortez, and yeah, that's my real voice. When I speak to my daughter, when I speak to my friends, this is how fast I talk and how high pitched my voice is. But if I speak like this to you in a webinar, you might get, oh, it's so irritating, right? So what I do is I try to breathe and then start modulating my voice. So it's a little bit lower, if you notice, and I speak a little slower. So it has something to do with the breathing. So did you just, I don't know if you guys noticed the shift, but from, hi everyone, my name is Tonette Cortez, to, hi everyone, my name is Tonette Cortez. So I think there was a big shift there only because you changed your breathing. So again, it is so important. Just practice it at home so that when people are listening to you in your webinars, it's not that irritating, okay? So we've got a couple of questions, Francis. I think that's my last slide. And at this point, let me just remind everybody to please like our Facebook page, Consult Asia Global Australia. We have our main page of Consult Asia Global, but we are also here doing this webinar from Australia. So Consult Asia Global Australia. Please like our Facebook page and do visit our website, www.consultasiaglobal.com. And you would see there the Australian team, and you're going to see all of us there. And of course, if you'd like to email us some of your questions or inquire about future webinars, please do email us at info@consultasiaglobal.com. Now, what kind of webinars do we offer? Lots. We do sales webinars. If you have a team of salespeople that you want to equip and be able to sell online, I mean, using virtual meetings like this or webinars, it's very different selling face to face and selling through webinars. So we do conduct those kinds of training. We also do, image enhancement. We have different kinds of topics that you might want to be, to be more familiar with. So please do visit our website. Now I'm going to turn it over to Francis.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Tinette. So that was a great presentation.
Welcome.
We do have one more question from Christian Bata. And anybody who wants to answer this is welcome to do so. How do you invite more people to sign up to your webinar? Anybody?
I can give one tip and then the others can probably add to that. Depends if you're doing a paid webinar, if you're organizing a paid webinar and you're trying to sell it to a certain target market, I would recommend definitely through social media. You can do a short video clip of yourself talking, presenting a problem related to the topic. So for example, you're doing a sales webinar, right? Then you can do like a 15 to 20 second video clip presenting a major problem in that particular aspect about sales. Is your sales dropping? Are your customers turning their back, on you? Is your sales team demotivated? Something like this, yet just you talking. And then post that on your Facebook, post that on your Instagram, post that on your LinkedIn, and then create a link that would lead them to a registration site for your webinar. So I think just posting, attend our webinar on sales, it's not as appealing as compared to you actually presenting a problem that people can relate to. So I would recommend that one. And of course, focus on your natural market. I mean, if you have friends, I'll ask them to share your post on their walls, and maybe you can give them a free seat for sharing your post. I mean, it's always, it's a win-win, right? So that would be my advice. How about you guys?
I think I totally agree, Tinette. So just like what Tinette said, if we have family and friends, which I know we all have lots, so let's not be shy in promoting our webinar, maybe either through word of mouth, through your social media, or, even just chatting with people. So make your brand or yourself known. And you can do that by inviting them to begin with to like your page. If you've got your page, just like what we're doing, we've invited you, our friends and family, to like our page, which is Consult Asia Global Australia. So that's a first step to liking the page. And obviously as well, just to piggyback on what Tinette said, make your brand known, put it on social media, put it on Instagram, do little hints. If you can advertise in YouTube, sometimes when you go to YouTube, you'll see little videos or little clips from masterclass webinar. You can do it through there too. And just, so simply promoting it, avidly to your family and friends. I think, don't be shy, because the only way people will know about your webinar is if you tell them about it.
Yeah, I guess to add to that, every webinar should have a call to action at the end. So whether it's to subscribe to your channel, or whether you're selling a product or promoting a product or promoting an event, your call to action has to reach that particular audience. So your goal has to match the audience you want to capture. So that's the first thing you have to figure out is who do I actually want to watch this? Who do I actually want to see what I'm about to speak about, or to sell, or to promote? So and that's where your Facebook marketing goes in, and that's where your Google ads come in, and that's what Rose talked about. So if you want to see what that was all about, you can watch this video again and rewind, and you can see that how to go about that. All right.
Right.
So
Okay,
yeah.
are there other questions? I mean, if there are questions, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to type them on the comment section, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. Or do we have any questions? I just wanted to say hello to Jim Hewling, my friend from the US. Hi, Jim. So again, we have viewers from the US. Hello, how are you, Jim? So we've got—
Good morning.
Yes, good morning in Atlanta. Okay. There was a comment actually from there was a question here, but it's not related. I think they're confused, Francis. They love the outfit of Rose, right? Because she has a scarf. Well, just to let you know, they are all in Australia at the moment. It is really, really cold there. And that's why they probably thought you were in the Philippines, and you know how hot it is here, and they're probably thinking, why is she wearing a scarf? So yeah, they're in Australia.
Yeah. Well, so Hass is in Mumbai and Tinette is in Makati.
Yes,
And,
I'm in the Philippines.
yes.
So hello to
And,
everybody, all our friends all over the world.
and myself in Melbourne, and we've got two of our ladies in Sydney. So we are Consultasia Global, and the global part is coming into play. We are pretty much around the world.
Okay, and Jim Hewling, my friend from the US, has just made a comment on my page, not on the Consult Asia Global Australia page, and he says, hello. He says, wonderful. And then Miwako, somebody also from Japan, Miwako Nakamura says hello from Japan. So hi guys, we have a global audience. Aren't you glad? Aren't you guys excited? We have audience from Japan, from the US, from London, from the UK, from the Philippines and Australia. Yeah. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you are picking up a lot of tips from our team. Yeah. So guys, how do you
I think, sorry, Tinette, I
yeah.
think we have some more few questions from Sarah Jane.
Yes, what is
Tama?
the question? Sorry, I can't.
What's the best time of day to host a webinar for business people?
What is the— sorry, Rose?
What's the best time of day to host a webinar for business people?
For
That's a
business—
question from Sarah Jane.
okay, for business people, normally, again, it depends on your topic. If it's business related, because she was asking about business webinars, right? Of course, I would recommend, again, this can change from country to country or industry to industry, but in our line of business, Tuesdays and Thursdays are usually ideal. And the reason for that is definitely you'd like the weekends to be free for the people, for their families. Mondays are usually this is where people are just starting to jumpstart their week. They want to catch up on some emails that have been pending over the weekend. They want to check on their plan for the whole week. And Fridays are actually winding down day. People don't want to do anything anymore. They just want to prepare for the weekend, right? And in Australia, they're probably preparing all their surfboards and their jet skis, right? But not on winter, right? Okay. Wednesday, I have no worries about— I don't have any issues with Wednesdays, but in our country, in the Philippines, people usually attend, masses, online masses on Wednesdays. And so they don't want that to be mixed with, say, another business webinar. You know what I mean? There's just too much going on a Wednesday, at least in the Philippines. And so Tuesdays and Thursdays are probably the most logical and most sound days to run the webinars. I don't know about Australia or India or or the US. What about you, Yvette? What do you think?
I think in here, same as you guys, yeah, Monday is usually the busiest time of the day. So that's when people are usually in the office working late, having meetings. And at the same time, too, Fridays would be a time for people to go out and about, especially here. Usually Friday drinks or even as early as Thursday drinks, are happening in here. But Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, the middle of the week would be, I think, the best days here to conduct webinars. And obviously for the time, I suggest perhaps maybe anytime from 6 p.m. onwards or 7 p.m. onwards, when people have actually gone home and have settled in. So usually I think that during those times, that would be the best times and days to conduct your webinars. But again, it depends on the topic, just like what Tinette said, and what your target market is. So obviously you have people that can wake up early, so there's nothing wrong with that. If you're doing yoga, obviously you can do it anytime, morning, afternoon, or night. But so it just depends on your target audience.
Yeah. And if they're also doing that for their own company, for example, you're a manager and you're wanting to do a meeting for your team, then definitely weekdays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays would be good, but not after office hours. So, yeah.
And not usually on the afternoons, because people tend to leave early on Fridays, especially here. Well, in my experience as well, Tinette, usually by 3 or 4 p.m. they would be already in the pub.
Exactly.
It's different now because of COVID-19, but it's usually where people are. Their mind is already elsewhere.
Okay. Do we have other questions, Francis? I mean,
No, it looks like we've got it all covered. But of course, if anybody who's watching, if you have any more questions, feel free to just type it in, and we're still here, we're still live, and happy to take any questions that you may have. So we will be watching that comment section.
What's the best? Okay. Oh, and then Shops from the Philippines. Hello, Shops. She says, happy to have chanced on this webinar. So thank you, Shops. Shops is also a seasoned trainer. And I'm glad that you were able to catch us, Shops, because we have actually just finished the presentation, but you could always play it back. It's going to be saved on the wall of Consult Asia Global Australia. So, okay. So if there are no more questions, guys, would you like to give some parting words or some, just one-liners to our audience? Suhas, you might want to start.
Well, it's nice to be with all the people, sharing our thoughts from different parts of the world on how the webinar is conducted, and happy to answer all the questions. So just want to be in touch with all of the people all of the time, and happy to answer any questions.
Right. Okay. Thank you. How about you, Rose?
Thank you, everyone, for watching us. And we hope you continue to support Consult Asia Global Australia. And we're always here every Mondays to conduct our Mondays webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. Yvette?
Thank you to our family and friends who have always been very supportive of us. So I know all my family and my friends are watching at the moment. And yes, thank you for your support.
Can you
thank you for
please greet them for
us. So hi Ma, hi Pa, hi
Pinky.
Hi Jackie, hi Burns, hi Romel. I've encouraged all my friends to watch today. Shirley, so for those that I haven't mentioned, thank you. But yes, parting words perhaps if we're talking about this topic is, preparation is the key. So, if test it a couple of days before, don't wait the last minute. And, practice makes perfect, just like what Tinette said. Even me, sometimes I'm not conscious of the way I talk because I talk fast too. But so, just practicing how to speak slowly, pronouncing your words, just like what I'm doing now. This is really hard, but, and just keep on doing what you're doing. And just like what Francis said, know your target market. But thank you for supporting us. And we'll see you again next Monday. Over to you, Francis.
Well, thank you very much for everybody who has tuned in and watched us tonight, this afternoon, wherever you may be. Webinars are a very powerful tool to reach people, and especially now with where a lot of people still around the world are locked in their homes and still not enjoying the normal freedoms that they do. So this is a great opportunity to actually conduct business or reach out to people. And yeah, thank you team for doing a great presentation as well. So with that, we'd like to close off again. Please follow us in our Facebook page. It's Consultasia Global Australia. Like, follow, subscribe. We also have a YouTube channel by the same name, Consultasia Global. So you're certainly welcome to join us, and we'll endeavor to bring out some really valuable content for you guys to come and watch us every week. We're here every 7 o'clock on Australia time. So that's the east coast of Australia. And if you're in Perth or in the Philippines, Singapore, it's around 5 o'clock. And we have Suhas, who is in Mumbai, which is around 2 o'clock in the afternoon we start. So again, thank you very much for joining us, and hope to see you all next week.
And Francis, just before we close, we have a lot of other, just
Oh.
to acknowledge some of our viewers. We got a comment from London saying that the webinar was very, very good. So, wow, thank you very much from the British audience. Thank you very much. US audience says, very wonderful webinar. Wow, isn't that amazing? I told you guys, the Australian team is just absolutely amazing. So you guys are really, really good. And I also wanted to say hi to Anton Pisumbing, my friend from Cebu. And also we have a viewer, Miss Elma Antonano, and she is watching from Singapore. Thank you so much for your constant support to Consult Asia Global. And now you have the Australian team in front of you guys. Please watch us again next Monday. We're gonna be bringing you more interesting webinars. And somebody has just said from Japan, looking forward to your next presentation. So guys, with that, thank you so much. We're sending you all the love. Mwah. Sorry, I can't help but show this quirky side of me, but thank you so much. Rose, Francis, Yvette, Suhas, you guys have been amazing. And to all our viewers, we will see you again next week. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you.